the war rig, absolute Gaslands royalty. The first one I've done on this channel. In fact, the first one I've done ever. So how did I make this? Let's crack straight into the video and see how I've done it. You'll join me after I've taken it apart and before I've done any work on it. So without further ado, let's go have a look. So I've got a mess of parts here. So I'm going to be working on the trailer later, taking the cabin apart. Won't be needing this, won't be needing this. I managed to absolutely decimate the base, but I will be needing that. These wheels have been taken out of the cab. I won't be using them on the cab, but I'll probably be using them on the trailer, so we're left with these bits here. Let's put the base to one side and work on the cab. I've done some bits to it. I have added some corrugated card, which I got from sort of packaging in the side, so that's corrugated with a slot and there. I've used a bit of plastic card, just cut it to fill in the window a little bit there, just to make it look a little less exposed. And I've got a piece of this, which is frying pan splash back cover. That it will be going into, if I can get it to work, that will be going into there. But I'll get it straight, or I'll try and get it straight at least. Yeah, after several failed attempts to get this mesh stuck in here and my fingers covered in glue, I thought I'd try just sticking a bit of cardboard on the back just to hold it stiff, maybe make it a little bit more manoeuvrable, easier to handle. Yeah, I'll come back when I've done it. There you go, it's worked, it's stuck in there. I will be filling in the outside edges, there's no gaps there, but I've got an idea for that. I needed to get that done before I stuck this back together, because I wouldn't have been able to get my finger inside to get that fixed beforehand. So that's done. So let's get this back on to here. Okay, so I stuck the base back on now, and in a move that was remarkably organised for me, I actually did keep the screws to get them back in. So that's screwed in and glued in. I've added also just a couple of risers and spacers there, because the wheels, when they go in, are going to be elevated from where they were. So I want some space for them to drop, and also want the spacers in just to push them outside a bit, make them look a bit more chonky. But there we are so far. Alright, I've now got a 3D printed ram, so I'm going to stick on the front. Now what I've done, I've used an emery board just to file down a bit of roughness on the contact points. There's something for the glue to bite to, and I've also, as you can see there, scored the contact point on the ram. Just stick that in there like that, and hopefully it will hold. Here you go, nasty big rammy ram. So I've stuck a strut across each of the rear wheel arches here. The reason for that is I'm going to be using these track units on the back, and I want the strut there as a support. Now I want it to be solid, so I'm going to use the old bicarbonate and soda trick. So it's stuck in there, but I'm just going to put a little daub of super glue at the joins, one there and one there. So it's sitting there in the joint, a blob. And I'm going to use some bicarbonate of soda. I'm just going to sprinkle it onto the glue, onto the super glue there. What that does, it activates the super glue and forms a kind of plasticized hard substance which supports the joint, makes it a more solid bond. Now I'll rough up the paint that's going to be the contact point for where these things are going to go. Just roughing the surface just makes the glue take a little bit easier. That's ready to go. think the first thing I'm going to do is start with a wheel. So I'm just going to rough up the contact points. There you go. And I'm going to stick a wheel in place. It's a 3D printed wheel. And I think kind of about there, I reckon. Try and get it central within the wheel arch. That'll do. So when that's dry, I'll make sure that the wheel on the other side is balanced. Then they'll be level, and then I can start with the tracks. I think that's level. Yep, that's sitting level. So that's good. The wheels are now on. So, nice big aggressive looking thing. So I'm going to put one of these in here and another one in front to match it. But I'll come back when I've done that. Right, so the wheels and tracks are stuck on. Now I've kind of made a bit of a style decision. I think I'm just going to keep the single tracks on the back. I was going to put a second set in, but I don't know. I think that is potentially overkill. A bit too much. Yeah, no, I don't think I need the extra ones. So we're sticking with less is more. I know this is Gaslands, less is never more. But yeah, that will do. So yeah, I'm been left thinking now, what should I do with this hole in the roof? Now, I thought subtle, and then I realised I had this kicking around, 3D printed, massive, great big turreted gun thing. And I thought, yeah, do you know what? My last comment about less is not more. Well, let's play up to that aesthetic. So a double BFG on top of this war wagon. So there we go. I think that's a bit ridiculous, isn't it? Yes, I like. You know what? With my characteristic decisive indecisiveness, I did decide to go with the two track units on each side. So yep, it's got double tracks on both sides, and also on each side of the mesh windscreen, I put a couple of sort of riveted struts. I made those using my usual aluminium foil technique, although instead of using aluminium foil, this time I used this stuff, which is it's the foil you get on the end of a wine bottle. The rivets were pushed in with a sculpting tool like this and then stuck into place. I think it's done, ready for painting. You'll probably notice that it's less shiny than it was now. That's because I've put 2 coats of matte varnish on. I want that to act as a primer because I want to keep the original colour of this truck. I'm just going to weather over the top of it. So, some progress and some news. The news is, since my last filming, I cut my thumb slicing some onions, so be careful with knives, people. Yeah. So the wheels, metalwork, etc. were all painted black, and then they've been dry brushed with 2 silvers, dark silver and then a light silver, just to pick up some highlights and stuff. That's probably about all the painting I'm going to do. So let's dirty it up. So first thing, I'm just going to get it wet, and then coming in with the rust wash. That's the idea of that. It just gives it a general sort of mucky, dirty feel. So the rust wash is now dry. I'm not too worried about how even it is, because I'm going to come in now and stipple a load of rust effects over it, using both sponges and brushes to get a nice rusty look. And there you go, done. And with the rust stippling dry, it's now time to get another load of washes on. Once the washes are dry, I'll come in with some streaking. So progress so far, I've just put some more streaks down the side, really. No magic to the streaks. It's watered down acrylic, it's washes, it's whatever you've got that looks grimy that you can paint in diluted streaks down the side of the vehicle. That's about it, really. Now I'm going to just get the wheels and tracks looking a little bit grimy, a little bit wastelandsy. And what I'm going to be doing is using heavily diluted sand, dusty colour. I'm just going to wash it into the cleats and over the tyres. So I'm trying to get it to gather in the tread pattern. The plan I have for this, you're not going to see half the wheels anyway. And I shall do the same for the tracks. Now, the tracks you are going to be able to see, so I want to get decent coverage of those. But essentially I'm just running it into the tread pattern. So just heavily diluted dust colour. And the idea is that when this dries, it will dry matte. Because it's so heavily diluted, it will be sort of translucent. It's not going to obscure anything that's already there. It's just going to enhance it a bit. And that, for now, should do it. So there you go, it's dry. It kind of works. So I'm now moving on to these things. These things here. They're 3D printed bits that weren't originally 3D printed or designed for the purpose I'm going to put them to. But these are going to get super glued onto the side of the vehicle. So there. These are wheel protection, side rams, whatever you want to call them. They're in there. So once the glue has dried, I'm going to just come in with just a little bit of rust paint, rust texture, just to stipple in over the top. I've got some dark rust. I'm just going to touch it into some of the edges. Just to make it look like a bit of rust. Okay. So I'll do the same on the other side and then we'll see what it looks like.